So in the last lecture, we worked a lot on the styling. We now got a button which looks nice and which is positioned nicely. Let's now make sure that once we enter something here and we hit this button, we actually save it and maybe output it below this whole section. For this, we need a new handler, maybe a place submit handler. There, I don't actually expect to get any argument. And I want to trigger this handler upon a press on the button. Now, when using React on the web, you would use onClick. Here on React Native, the equivalent is onPress, which, as you might be able to guess, is fired whenever we press this button. There, I want to execute this place submit handler, this one here. So this executes this method here. Now, in this method, I want to add the value the user entered to an array of values, which I then eventually can output on the page. So here I'll add a new property to my state. Let's name it places. And let's then add something to place submit handler. There I want to add the new place. So first of all, here I want to check if this state place name, if I trim it, if that is equal to an empty string, because if it is, I just want to return. I don't want to allow the user to add an empty place. But if it's not empty, then I will call this setState, and there use the function syntax, which React also gives you, where you get the old state, the previous state, as an input to the function, just using an arrow function there. And inside of the function, you then return the object, which should get merged with the state by React. So that's just, again, normal React code. And here, I'll set places, so this array here, equal to previous state places, and call concat on it to add a new element and return a new array to update it immutably. So there, I want to concatenate previous state place name, so whatever the user entered. So this is what I return here. This should allow me to add new places. Now, let's try it out. Let's go back to the application. Let's manually reload it to make sure we really have the latest code. And let's add Munich as an awesome place, because it really is awesome. Let's hit add here. And we can't tell if it worked or not, because we got no visual output. So why don't we output the places we store here? And hopefully this is a list that grows as we press the add button. For this, I'll add a new view below our view where we handled the user input with the input and the button element. And in this view, I simply want to output a list of the names. So therefore, I want to render a couple of text elements where I just output the place names we store in this array. To do this, I'll actually do something before I return in the render statement. I'll add a new constant, which I name places output. And this is equal to this state places map. So I'm using the default logic for outputting arrays in React. Nothing special here when it comes to React Native. And there I got my place, and I want to replace it here in this array with a JSX element so that I later can render places output in the JSX code. So therefore, place should essentially become a JSX element, a text element, of course. So there I will simply render place, which is one element of the places array, which is just an array of strings. So I can output place like this. So places output then should be entered here in this second view. There I'll add places output like this. With that, let's save this. Always reload if you got an error which doesn't go away. Make sure to reload here too. Again, sometimes this is buggy. Let me add Munich here on Android and hit add. We see Munich. And let's try the same here on iOS. And we see it here too. We also get an error or a warning that we should add a key property, just as we do in normal web-based React apps. So on the text node we create here in the array, let's add the key property. And unfortunately, I have no real unique ID, so we'll fall back to the suboptimal solution of using the index by receiving 2 arguments in the function we pass to map, where the second is the index of the element. And then I assign I, so the index, as a key. Not the best solution, but I have no unique key here. So with that, let's reload the app to make this error go away. And let's try it again. Let's enter Munich here. Works, no warning. Let's also enter San Francisco, another very lovely city. And we got this too. And it should also work here on iOS if we add all these elements. And by the way, it's really convenient, of course, that during development, when using the simulator, you can use your hardware keyboard. You could use the built-in one too, though. So with that, we got a list which we output, and we got this working, this input. We can work on the styling of the list items though, and we haven't created any custom component yet. Let's tackle all these things over the next lectures.